Sharpen your gums with Vinny and Hessey. Yeah!
All right. Welcome back, y'all. I am Hessey. This is Vinny. And we are back. So, Vinny, let's hear
Yes,
it.
sir.
We always open up. Well, how'd your week go?
Oh, dude, I was on vacation all week. Well, I mean, I didn't work at my job, quote unquote, but I did a lot of other things. Like, I got a buddy that's got an American flag wood. I don't know, you hang it up on your wall. Like, it's just made out of wood. It's got a flag. He's a big bass fisherman, so he took a picture of this bass coming out of the water. So he took it over to a shirt place, and they transposed it, or they put it on one of those iron-on deals, but it's kind of almost animated. Like, it's not the actual picture. I mean, it is the bass, but it looks like a drawing, I guess. And you iron it on your shirt. So he's like, hey, can you put this on, like, the stars of the Stars and Stripes on this board and epoxy
Oh, so
it?
that picture you sent me was you had put that fish on there?
Yeah, I'd put the fish on there.
When you sent it to me, I was like, well, that's cool. But I didn't know you were the one that put the picture on, or the fish on there.
So I high gloss spray painted it because it was kind of a dull color, and the high gloss would kind of bring the red and the blue out. And then I used it as quote unquote glue, So I put that on there. Like, I didn't iron it on. We just kind of trimmed it out. Taylor trimmed it out and made it look good because it had a whole bunch of like little extra little flakes and stuff and little water droplets. We just kind of trimmed it all off, so it was a nice. Because you can still see the plastic that it's on, so we kind of trimmed it off so you couldn't see it so much when So I just stuck it on there. I high glossed over it, so I tried to get it on there so it was good. Because I don't know what epoxy is going to do to it, because epoxy gets really hot. Like when you mix epoxy and you pour it on there, it gets hot. And I don't know. I've seen some videos where people try to do it like over an actual picture, like a family picture and stuff, and it curls the edges. And
so you're saying it gets hot, like chemical reaction hot?
Yeah, chemical reaction gets temperature hot. Like if you're holding like a little cup of it, like to do little things, you can feel the heat like really get through there. So I didn't want it to, I didn't know what it was going to do. So I put a one coat on it, and turned out all right. I got some other little things I got to do to it. I'm going to do a light sanding on it, and then I'm going to do another coat. But it was 95 degrees today, and I don't know, that's a little warm. Like it won't allow me to work on it long enough to get like the bubbles out. You got to torch all the bubbles and stuff like that, so it'll cure too fast. So I did
just
that
do it right there in your living room.
Yeah.
Just lay down some plastic and just get to epoxying, bro.
And I could, but with the foot traffic and stuff like that, it takes a few hours before it's not tacky. I'm gonna go put it up in the playhouse and put a tarp around it. Nobody goes in the playhouse, so I'm gonna kind of box myself in there.
Well, then you had another project, and you redid your floor again or something.
I did redo the
floor. So maybe when you tore all the floor up, you could have just epoxied that thing and left it sitting there on the floor.
I should have done that and then put the floor in. Yeah, I could have used that. But yeah, we had a spot in the floor that came apart because we'd left some of the old floor in a little section, and it made it higher. And after a year of walking on it, the LVP finally kind of gave. It wasn't as hard as it was when it started. So yeah, we tore half the floor out all the way through the kitchen and the walk area. Went through, scraped everything off so it was smooth, put it back down. I actually glued the LVP in the walkway. So yeah, the lady at Home Depot, she was very unpleasant about me. I was like, hey, do you got any LVP glue? She goes, you can't glue LVP. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I mean, I've already done some of it, so with some other stuff.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. We'll have to.
I told her,
we'll keep everybody up to date on how that rolls.
Yeah, I said if it gets bad, like if I have to redo it again, I'm just gonna sell the house. I'm not even gonna scrape it off.
There you go.
Put the house up for sale.
So where are you at? 80? You at 85%?
Nope, I did I did floorboards today. It's done.
Okay, all right, I like it. So this really did help. All the bagging we did earlier earlier episodes.
I still got to do the talking. I still got.
Oh well, that's still at least you're in the 90s.
I mean, it's up there in the high 90s. It's high 90s today.
I do.
Yeah, high 90s.
Hopefully it doesn't. I was thinking about it. Like, hopefully it doesn't. So like your floors heat and expand, heat, hot and cold, so they expand and shrink. So I'm hoping with the glue down parts because you said you didn't glue all of it.
Yeah, oh no, I didn't.
So I'm hoping that when it does do that expansion and shrinking, it doesn't. So that just stays stationary.
If it unclips, it's not clipping.
Yeah, everybody else.
It's screwed.
Everywhere else it does. You know, it does. I don't know. I hope it doesn't, but I was just thinking, man, if only part of it's stuck to the floor and the other stuff is expanding and contracting.
Right. I get it.
It's going to be all lumpy. I don't know. Fingers crossed.
Will LVP expand and contract, though? I mean, it's plastic. It's not wood.
I think so. I think that's why they do. I don't know, man. Like I did.
I get it.
I know, like when they did my hard floors, the people doing the floor would not let the cabinet people or anybody come in because they're like, no, we can't have any weight on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like they don't want it ever fastened or screwed or anything like that because there is that. It's got to. You know what I mean? There's got to be a little bit of movement, I would guess. Yeah,
and not on this floor, but the first floor that we put in, our very first project, we just did the kitchen and the walkway because we still had a bunch of carpet. It was pretty inexpensive laminate floor. It wasn't the LVP. It was more of a wood, whatever. But if you were in a full dead run or something, playing with the kids or the dogs, and you hit the skids, you could slide like a whole row. Like it would slide a whole row, whatever you stopped on. So
what's LPV?
LVP.
Whatever.
Laminated vinyl planks. I don't know.
Okay. Huh. And what was it before? Linoleum?
No, it was. I just said it and I forgot what it is now.
Does it roll out?
No, it was wood, but it was more that wood, like, it was a whole bunch of. It was more wood. This is all plastic all the way through, and that is the laminate. It was more of a laminate, which is, it's got a laminated thing over the top, but when you scrape it down, you're into that kind of that cardboard wood.
So how did you put it together? Was it snapped together before?
Yeah, it snapped together. Same way.
The old
but
stuff. But you glued it. You glued it all to the ground.
I glued most of this to the ground, yeah.
This stuff? What about the old stuff?
No, the old stuff you had to roll the pad out, so you had to put a pad down, separate, and then put this on top of it so it was smooth underneath it so it would slide around. So if you hit the skids, running around the house, you could feel it move. The LVP has the pad attached to it, and it's more of that gripper stuff, kind of like you put in your drawers.
So when you cleared out the old stuff, what was still stuck there that made you think you had to glue it? It was just uneven? The floor was uneven?
Before that, there was a piece of linoleum. It was like an 8x4 sheet of linoleum that was there. But
that's the stuff you roll out?
Yeah, that's the stuff that they rolled out, like 1950s. We thought it was asbestos at first because it was like, it had speckles in it. Like it was like asbestos.
Oh, boy. I don't know if they did floors that way.
They used to do asbestos floors, yeah. It had
really?
Asbestos in it, yeah.
Oh, so it had like these little sidings and roofs or ceilings.
It had all these little speckles in it, so we didn't want to mess with it. And we're like, I don't know. So we just left it and then just laid this right over it. But it happened to be that a long piece was up on top of that and a long piece was below it. So it just unclipped. Like it's not, there's not a whole lot that it clips to. You just hear the little click, but... So then eventually it just popped it, and then I couldn't get it to click back together. And then it was just kind of like if you didn't pick your feet up when you were walking, you just kind of caught it with your foot. And so, yeah. It wasn't a project I was planning on doing this week.
Yeah, that sounds like a great vacation. Sign me up.
Friday, we rented one of those big water slides. I know you have one personally, but we rented one. I talked to you about it the other day while we were doing it, and that'll wear you out.
Yeah, they're rad.
Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, it was 18 foot tall. Kids were climbing on it. We had the water going. It was a lot of fun.
How'd your lawn do after that?
It's not bad.
You just had it for the day, though, huh?
Yeah, I just had it for the day.
I know. And see, for like me, I don't want to set it all up. So I always tell Alexa, hey, we ain't setting it up until we get like a full. Like I'm going to set it up on like a Friday, or I'll set it up Saturday morning.
Right.
Because, dude, I don't want to be, setting it up on a Sunday just at afternoon and run it for a couple hours and then take it back down. Because, like, I have to roll it over, let it dry. You know what I mean? Like, because then I got to put it away in the carry bag that it has. And so I kind of like to try to get it dried out as best I can. So I drain it down, roll it over, move it across the grass so it's not sitting there. Even when I do the from like a Friday night, whatever, till a Sunday, it definitely knocks the lawn down, but it doesn't burn it, which is nice. Because like the little circle pools, they don't have enough water in there, and it like almost like a magnifying glass.
Right.
And it like cooks your lawn. So this one, I think it's not like it's big enough. And then there's not water all the way. It's just in that front part, and then it's like deep enough and stuff. So I haven't had it ruin the lawn, but it definitely gives it a good irrigating, a good flood watering for sure when you let all that water out of that pig.
Oh yeah, I didn't. So I made sure that when I stepped on it to empty out the little pool at the end, that it went to a kind of dry spot.
Yeah.
Next day, it brought it right back. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right.
It was nice.
Cool.
Let me ask you this though, and I don't know why you were talking about it. I was just thinking about it. Do you think they have this kind of stuff like in Scotland? Like you went to Scotland, right? That's where you went.
Yeah. I don't. I'm not gonna say no, but from what I could tell, first and foremost, doesn't seem like anybody has a big enough yard.
Okay.
Like when we were in the towns, the different towns that we went to and stuff like, especially like the bigger ones like Edinburgh and stuff like that. But driving through there, it's like you have towns, so it doesn't seem like they have very big yards, right?
Right.
They're not like, they just don't consume, and they're not about everything. Like their houses are smaller, everything's smaller.
So do they spend most like their outdoor time like at a park? Like are they...
Yeah, I think it would be that, or their weather is not like ours. So it gets summer. Like we went during the summer, and I thought it was glorious, but like, so here's an idea. Just a quick rundown of it. So we went, and we were there for like the first day we got there, it rained, in the afternoon or whatever, and then it was kind of cloudy, and then it's like sunny. But like 2 or 3 days into it, say whatever, we got up in the morning, it was blue skies, right? There was no clouds. Like they have those like big cumulus puffy clouds, and then like the blue skies, like seems like all the time. And then so we went. About the third day, it was sunny. So we got up in the morning, and it stayed sunny, and so we had breakfast and all that stuff. And I think we went somewhere for like lunch, and the lady's like, "Oh, let me get you guys some water." And I was like, "Oh yeah," and she's like, "'Cause it's a scorcher out there." And so I was like, "Oh, okay, fair enough." So it was like 70s, but for them. Dude, it was some of the most alabaster, just pasty white people that you've ever seen wearing half-skiffed clothes. You know what I mean? Like, they legitimately are like, they were like, oh, bust out the summer wear. We're in the mid-70s. So they're like short shorts, tank tops. These chicks that are like, they look like canvas because they got tattoos and stuff. They got a lot of tattoos, but they're white. So their tattoos look super cool, right? But they thought that was a scorcher, that day was hot. So I could see them not. What would you have a water bounce house for?
Right, but don't you think you'd be acclimated to that weather, that water bounce house?
Nah, but I still don't think they get the days where they're like, oh yeah, it's a nice day, let's get out, get some sun. Not, okay, it's 77, let's go get the pool out.
All right. So
you know what I mean? Because regardless, they're putting cold ass water in there, and it ain't hot outside. You know what I mean?
It's true.
So I think that is the difference. Because if now they would probably for sure be making stuff fit if they reached 100 degrees.
So, but if they hit 90, they'd probably be calling for supply help. They'd be like, we're dying.
Yeah,
here.
it would go. Yeah, it'd be like, state of emergency or something.
State of emergency.
I just don't think they're built for it. It's the same as like when we went to Jamaica. I mean, it rained in the morning and it was like, today I'm a cool 82, 84 degrees. And so they thought it was cold. You know what I mean? So it's like the opposite. When it gets like in the 70s, they're like, woo, scorcher. We'll get you some water with some lemon, and like thinking you're out. And I was like, this is nice. But Tosh and Alexa basically carried a sweatshirt around with them the whole time. And I would sometimes put like a long sleeve on and wear shorts. But they were in,
Is that because there might have been, was there more moisture in the air? Like, did the moisture in the air kind of make it feel a little cooler than actual an 82? It's not a dry 82, it's like a wet 82?
In Jamaica? Yeah. I don't know, dude. I was still sweating. I still felt like it was hot. But I think to them, the air is cooler.
Yeah, okay.
I think the air is cooler because it wasn't like the hot humid. It was still like humid because it was raining, but the rain like kept everything kind of cooled down. Streets cooled, pavement cooled, concrete cooled, whatever cooled. I mean, so I could see it being that way.
Yesterday for us was just a dry. It was just hot. Got a little.
Yeah, and that's so like we went camping this weekend. So at Friday started off just peachy as could be. Big Gray decided to puke antifreeze all over the place.
While you were hauling the trailer?
No. So luckily, I take that back. It was Thursday. Was it Friday? Thursday. So Thursday. Yeah. So Thursday, I get off work. I got to go pick Alexa up. She's doing the musical, and so they're in rehearsals. So I go pick her up. It was Tasha's birthday. Got her some flowers and a card. So my truck's just sitting there idling, right? I pick up Alexa. It's idling because it's hot. We're in the mid-90s, 97 or whatever it was. So I just kept the AC on. So I didn't like start and stop or anything like that for the three things that I did. So it just sat there and idled, which is the diesel. It's fine. Alexa ran the flowers and the cart into Tosh at work. And so I was coming home because I was going to go swim. As I'm turning onto my street, I kind of felt like there was it sounded a little different, or there was like a kind of a different feel in the vibration. I don't know, just something of that. I could just tell something was weird. I was like, that sounds weird. Then Alexa goes, what is that smell? And I was like, oh, that's antifreeze. So I look at all my gauges, like we're not overheating. I'm like, good grief. So we pull up into the driveway, and I stop before getting into the garage, like I wasn't going to park in the garage.
Right.
And so I jump out, and I pop the hood, jump out, flip it open, and it's spraying antifreeze all over inside. And so I'm yelling at Alexa, turn it off. And so she's like reaching over and turns the key off. Shuts down.
That's good. At least you didn't try to start it.
Yeah. So water's just running. I can just hear our antifreeze just run on the ground. I was like, golly. So I had the hood open, and I'm crawling around, and I'm looking over underneath there, and I'm trying to do. My neighbor comes over, and he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe blew a hose or something. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, this just happened. Like, I'm literally just starting to look at this. And then so he wants to start talking to me about his back surgery and how he hasn't been able to get around and do stuff. And I'm just like, bro, you got to read the room, dude. Like, do you see what's happening right now? Like, I don't.
I'm going
camping
tomorrow, and I'm taking the truck. You got
and I'm just. Yeah, and so I'm just like, I don't know. I was like, oh yeah, whatever. And I don't need. So then I stopped talking to him. I'm like, yeah, I saw that, and I'm underneath the truck, and I can't see any hoses, but I get to looking up inside there behind where like the fan pulley is, and it's just running, puking out from there, and I'm like, so it lost the water pump. Didn't even like warn me, like no weeping. There's like a weep hole.
Yeah.
There's like a weep hole there, so it starts to weep.
Notice before it just goes.
Nope, just boom. Like I think the bearing, once the bearing, because you could see that the pulley was off a little bit. I found that out after because I opened the hood up and I had her turn it off. So I'm looking, it's still running. So I'm like, Alexa, fire it up. And I wanted to see if I'd start puking back out or like making it worse. So she starts it back up, and then it's like, and then something comes off and grabs the high belt or the high hose that's on the radiator. And I'm like, turn it off. So she turns it off. And so she shuts it off. It pulls it off. Pink! Pops it loose, but there's no...
Oh, my.
It's not spraying out of there because it's already ran down enough.
It's already low. Yeah.
I'm like, holy Jesus. So she's like, what? And I'm like, so she gets out and she's looking at it, and I'm like, good job. And it was the serpentine belt.
Here, hold on. Good job. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, well.
So it was a serpentine belt. And
yeah, I got you.
So a piece of it came loose because the pulley on the fan had moved, like tweaked, because it blew the O-ring out. So that piece, it just like a piece of the belt pulled off and snagged that top radiator. It didn't ruin it though. I put it back on.
Like but around it like lasso. Like
yep, it's all wrapped it. Wham! Yanked it out.
Holy cow!
Like, shit! And now my face was right there, dude. And I like see this thing come wailing over. I'm like, what the? So I get in there. I climb up underneath there, and it's just puking out there. So I send a video. I'm pretty sure what it was. Send it to Mike. He's like, she's a goner. So I sent it around like I have nothing, you know. So I call my buddy Andy, and he's like, he runs Fallon Driveline, I think Driveline, and I don't remember what it's called. I don't know. He owns a shop here, and Driveline Transmissions, I think it is, or something like that. Yeah, he's a great dude. He's phenomenal at what he does. So if you ever have Driveline or transmissions or anything like that, go see him. He's out on the highway. If I had his number, I'd give it to you. Shout out. But he hits me up, dude, and is like, oh, I hit him up. I was like, hey, did you do this stuff? He's like, no, not really. He's like, but you could use my shop if you want to, you know, we could probably do it next weekend or something. Like, I have the tools. Because you have to have, like, these little thin wrench things and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, he's like, oh, you guys are going camping this weekend. I go, well, I already text Tasha. I text Tasha, or I gave my phone to Alexa, and I go, text Mom, tell her we're not going camping. And she's like, okay. And she was a trooper about it. She's like, oh, man, I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. I'm like, it's all right. It ain't your fault. Like, it happens. So then the Mom's like, why? And she's like, Mom's asking why. I'm like, well, I'll talk to Mom when she gets here. I ain't got time for that. So now I'm trying to figure this thing out. I just talked to him, and then Andy, dude, he was super cool. He's like, well, you can just take my truck.
Oh,
I was like,
nice.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm not using it. It's just sitting there in my backyard. He's like, I'm going scouting. He got a bow tag. So he was headed up to the Rubies to go scouting for deer.
And he didn't take his truck.
Yeah, he's like, just take my truck. It's just sitting there. And I was like, oh, okay. And I knew exactly what was about to happen. So just picture what Kevin would say, because he's a Chevy. And so he's like, I'm going to let you borrow it, but when you come back, you're probably going to want to buy one. I go, I knew it. I knew you was going to say something like that. Oh, jeez.
It's going to feel better.
Yeah. So
you're going to love it. You're going to buy one when you get back.
Yeah. I know. So he let me borrow, but I took it to work Friday. He was like, just come get it tonight. And so it's funny because his wife goes, is it clean? And he's all, no. And she's like, geez, you guys, men are so different than women. She goes, I would have been like, yeah, give me a couple hours and you can come grab it. She goes, then I would have cleaned it. But it was funny.
No, just throw the water bottles from the one side to the other or throw them in the back.
Devin, he had to muck it out before we got it. You can tell it's just been sitting for a minute, but it's not. It's not quite the same. It's not quite the same as how I keep mine. Like Alexa goes,
you got a little OCD on.
Yeah, Dad. She goes, Dad, your truck is way clean. I'm like, yeah. I mean, does
he have leather seats?
Yeah, he does not. They're cloth.
See, cloth is a little bit like dustier. Like you can smack on those things. Like, but you have leather in Big Gray.
Yeah.
And I got leather in mine, and I feel like the seats are a little cleaner. I mean, you wipe them down if you need to, but for the most part, they stay pretty clean. But when you get that cotton seat, they kind of gather up all that dust, and
they do. And I mean, he uses it like that. I mean, he just uses it. I mean, like I don't. I spray off my floor mats and vacuum it and armor all that and wipe it all down and leather cure the seats. A couple times a month and stuff. Whatever. They're normal.
Yeah, the normal. Yeah, that's normal for everybody.
Yeah,
No, I might armor all my seats and wipe down the dash maybe every 3 months.
Oh yeah,
I don't even
no, I at
do that
least
often.
do it once
Yeah,
a
that's
month,
what I'm
if
saying.
not
That
twice.
little OCD you got going on there. Gotta
I don't
keep
know,
it
it's a
clean.
curse.
All right, so you get this Chevy what?
This is
Chevy
Duramax.
1500? No,
Yeah,
Duramax.
2500 Duramax. Yeah,
2500.
I will
four-door.
tell you. Yeah, I will tell you it's black. It's a nice truck. There's no doubt. It's
Like-
newer than mine.
What year?
It's an '06, so it's not like super new, but it's it's newer style, newer than mine. But dude, so it pulls nice. You can tell it's a little lighter. It's lighter than my truck, like you could tell with the trailer. But I did put that new sway control on it on my hitch, dude. And that thing pulls. I can't wait to pull it with Big Gray. It's amazing what that sway control does. I wish I would have put it on 10 years ago, like I should have. Especially after I almost yard sold it and died.
Yeah.
And so, because, dude, you could feel the trailer kind of wanted once in a while because the wind was hammering on us going out Friday. And
Right.
that trailer would hit and it would kind of sway and it would just be like one sway. And it'd be right back to straight. So it was nice, dude. And it pulls. I'll tell you what, it's nice on that truck is it has tow mode. Like where you put it on tow mode and the little trailer thing lights up.
Okay.
And it is
that a different gear ratio?
it shifts differently and it downshifts. Like when you start hitting the brakes, it knows you're hitting the brakes and it downshifts. Whoa, 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 whoa.
It's using like an engine brake kind of.
Yeah, it'll start slowing you down because like one of the lights changed on me and I was like, gosh, like it's red. I was like, she goes, light was flashing. I was coming to I was like, I didn't make it. Thought I could, whatever. Wasn't paying attention. So, but as it starts to downshift, it's whoa, 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 and then, dude. So the gearing, it's got that Allison transmission in it, which definitely that thing. It was nice. That I feel like the power of the pulling was the same, but that transmission with that tow mode, like keeping it in that certain RPMs and stuff. There's not. I wonder. I gotta ask him too because I think it might be a couple gears more, maybe a 6-speed or like a 8-speed or something. So it has a few more shift points in there, so there's not such a gap. Because like on mine, that 7.3
only when it's in tow mode.
Yeah, I don't know what it does without. He just said put it in tow mode and do everything that way.
Well,
So
I'm sorry,
definitely, dude,
if you get a
definitely
Chevy,
that down.
this
I
podcast
won't.
is over. You
No,
get a Chevy,
I
the
won't.
podcast is
No,
over.
I'm not, dude. I'll just. But I think about getting a new truck.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Just because. Well, first, I'm not going to get a new truck. I'm going to get the deep dish pan. So he put the deep dish pan on his transmission,
Okay.
right? So he has like the cat cooler like I have on mine. He has like he called it something different. But he has the deep dish.
pan is.
It's on
just
your
holds more
oil
transmission
pan. So it holds more
Okay.
fluid, but it also sticks down further and catches more air for cooling.
Okay.
And also it's circulating more oil. So your transmission oil takes longer to get through. So it goes, basically the hot oil gets longer out to cool before it comes back in.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because you have more. So it takes probably a couple of quarts more. I don't know how many more.
That's it.
But
I
pulling.
think the cooling part of it, whether you're putting more quarts in, the better cooling you can get on that kind of stuff is probably better for the whole motor and transmission.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I
Well, I
think-
mean, the oil in the motor is, I don't ever have that problem. Thing holds 15 quarts of oil. Yeah. I buy it in the gallons. It's ridiculous. But the transmission's undercooled, I feel like. So that's why I put that cat cooler on it. And then, but that he put that, he has an extra cooler on his, but he also then put that deep dish oil pan, oil pan for his transmission. And that thing, dude, it never got over 200. It was like 180 the whole time. And when we were pulling Friday with a little bit of wind, and it was probably heading out of Fallon through Reno and stuff, we were in the mid-90s, 97 degrees or whatever. So that transmission's solid, dude. That Allison transmission, I'll give props to that. The
And
motor,
do they-
like
Are
engine-wise,
they only a GM deal? Like, can
Yeah.
Ford ever start to pull Allison?
I don't know how that all works. I doubt it. Now the new ones. So I'm not saying like Sweeney's truck. His truck's got a 10-speed transmission in it. I mean, there is no point in there that truck ever misses an RPM on when it's driving. It never loses torque. It always has a gear to be into, like when you're pulling. So it just flies down the road.
Doesn't Dad have a V10? His is a V10, but it's an O2 or whatever, isn't it?
So that's a V10 motor. His has a 10-speed transmission.
Transmission, got you.
Yeah. So it has the 6.7 power stroke in it, which is a powerhouse of a motor. You know what I mean? But that transmission, those diesels being able to keep in that high RPM, which high RPM for a diesel is nowhere near close to like what you do in your truck.
Right.
So like when I'm pulling that trailer down the highway at 65, 70 miles an hour, I'm less than 2,000 RPMs.
Okay. That's good.
Yours is idling at 2,000 RPMs.
Probably.
Not really, but it's close. Like you'll run up, you're probably towing. You're probably
1,000 at least.
Yeah. And so I'm under 2,000 when I'm towing at 60, 70 miles an hour. When I'm going to Utah at like 80 miles an hour, I'm barely getting 2,000 RPM with not towing anything. So, suffice to say, it was a great truck. It hauled great. I'm going to definitely, my next thing is putting a deep pan on here. I'm not buying a Duramax. Like I told you, that's my second bet. But I'll tell you, a newer rig.
Little Kevin's Duramax all the way. He'd love a Duramax.
Well,
But
I was
he's
just telling.
He's a Chevy guy.
Same. That's what this was. Is it Chevy or GMC? They're the same, pretty much.
They are. I don't know. I mean, Kevin has a GMC right now, but like either GMC or
It's
Chevy.
just- it's just the only difference. Like this was a Chevy.
It's the upgrade of the Chevy. You get a few more. What do you call them? Perks. You get a few more perks in the GMC than you do the Chevy.
Yeah. Well, I think you can do so. If you get a Chevy, you get like the High Country, I think it's called, and that's like your premium stuff.
Like
And
Ford
if
and
you get
Lincoln, they're the same. Because you can get a Lincoln Mark something, and that's a truck, but like your seats are heated and air conditioned, and that kind of stuff. You got a little more gadgets on the dash.
I think the Chevy's the same. So if you get a Chevy High Country, that's like the GMC Denali.
Oh, okay.
And then you have like Ford has the Platinum or the King Ranch, you know what I mean? Or the Dodge, I think, has the Laramie or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those are the packages. There's no difference in motor and transmission. So you can get a GMC Denali, which is a Duramax Allison transmission. And you buy a Chevy, it's Duramax with Allison transmission.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I think they still do Allisons on the new ones. But the difference would be if I bought a new Ford. So if I bought a Ford that's the new 6.7, that's the Lariat or whatever, just the same exact truck as I have now, even if it was like a 16, 17, I think is when they went with like the 8-speed transmissions, it would pull night and day difference compared to Big Gray.
Mm.
You know what I mean? All I have is the option to turn the overdrive off.
Right.
And then I'm just running at high RPM so the thing never lugs out. You know what I mean?
Right.
It don't downshift unless I turn the overdrive off if I'm going down a hill, hit the brakes, and then like drop it into second if I want to slow it down. Right. This thing, you hammer on the brakes and the gain hits on that trailer and it knows you're trying to brake. That thing just starts downshifting, So, suffice to say, he was bagging, telling me I'm going to buy one. Then I show up to work, and Mike's like, "Oh, man, you traded in Big Gray because it blew the water pump and went with the real truck, the Duramax," because he just bought one.
I mean, Big Gray's an 02, right?
Yeah.
02. That's 22 years.
Yeah. It's an old truck.
You're changing a water pump.
I'm changing a water pump in it, yeah.
I mean, have you ever changed a water pump before?
No.
Right. 22 years.
This is the original for sure because I bought the truck new used, but it was only like 2 years old.
Right. That's
I've
what I'm
had
saying.
It for 20 years.
I mean, that's why they stopped making Saturns, because they never broke. So people just
Yeah.
drove them 300,000 miles. So I mean, you've got the tank of the Ford year
Yeah.
02.
Yeah, I ain't getting rid of her anytime. I'm gonna just get that
So,
big.
all right,
plan.
you make it to camp in.
Oh yeah,
the
so we made up to camp with the new truck. It was
rusty
nice,
old
dude.
Chevy.
Yeah, dude. We went up to Eagle Lake. I thought it was Gray Eagle. I was totally wrong. So sorry for everybody. I told you Gray Eagle. Tasha's like, it's
Eagle
not
Lake,
Gray Eagle.
Eagle Lake.
That's what I thought. It's not even close to the same place either. I was like, oh, shit.
Is there a Gray Eagle?
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a Gray Eagle. That's what I was telling everybody. Yeah, and they're like, oh, that's beautiful up there. I've been up there. Nah, we went to Eagle Lake. Sorry, guys. You ain't been there. Maybe somebody has. I don't know. But
I mean, if you have a
no, it was
Ford
nice.
Fielder,
It was cool. It worked out. Pulled up there just fine. The trailer, we dumped a bunch of money into it, like I was telling you last week or the week before. So ran good. The lake was super cool. I guess it was really low because they don't really have like beaches like we thought they were. Like Tasha
Okay.
just really didn't know. She heard it from a friend. They were supposed to go, but then they flaked out, and so we just ended up going by ourselves. None of the couples we invited went. I kind of felt bad for Tasha, but
just you, Josh, and Alexa.
yeah, she planned it all out, and then everybody bailed. So, I mean, the one couple already had told us prior to, like, some other stuff came up, and they're like, we're not going to be able to do it. But and then it came down, like, to the end, and then some of them bailed. Anyways, we were like, whatever, we're still going regardless. So we headed up there, just us. And then it was cool that Andy let us borrow his truck. He's like, man, I hate for you guys not to be able to go. So we yoinked up there, and we went and did some fishing, dude. I was ripping lips yesterday.
Ripping lips.
No, yeah.
Ripping lips.
Just
Flapping
ripping
your gum.
lips,
Ripping
dude.
lips. There you
Yeah.
go.
So
That's a
we went
shirt.
to there's no real shore. Everything, it's
Like
like
a
it's
cliff,
a
or
mountain.
was it
It's a
rock?
mountain lake, but it's like grassy. But I guess the lake's really low. And so people were like, oh, it's just low. And I was like, oh. So we went to the marina. And I asked the guy, I go, yeah, so the lake's low. How long is that? It's just, and he's like, about, I don't know, somewhere close to 15 years. I was like, oh. I was thinking like this year it was low,
Like
but
this
he's
year,
all
right,
about
right,
15
yeah, right.
years. I was like, oh, that makes sense. So we did get to the marina, and then we,
You put power boats on it?
yeah, so that's mainly what everybody was doing, was just dragging in like wakeboard boats. There was fishing boats and wakeboard boats.
Oh,
And so
okay.
we went down right there by where the loading ramp was at, the dock, or the boat ramp. And then we shot over
ramp,
the
yeah.
side where it was rocky, but it was nice because there were flat rocks, and you could get out there in the water. So I just sat out there in waist-deep water, dude, just fishing, just ripping lips, dude. I caught like
Were
5
you
fish.
standing in the water?
Standing in it, yeah. And then I'd cast out further to get out of there a little further.
What were you
Alexa and
catching?
Tasha were trout,
That's it?
just trout.
Like
Yep,
you
caught
can get in
all
the-
5 of them were the same.
What are the little ones called?
Huh? Piranhas?
Like if you get, no, not piranhas. They have some up at Johnson's up there by Fish Lake. You can get
like
the
bass?
perch. Perch.
Birch? Perch?
Perch.
Birch or perch? Are you saying perch?
Perch.
Like a bird?
Perch. They were little, like, guys will go up there and catch perch. They'll cut
Yeah.
them all up. They'll use that as bait to catch bigger fish.
Oh, yeah. Tasha said that on the one. I felt bad. That's how big of that one fish I caught was. She's like, I was like, babe, get a picture. I'll hold it out further in front of you, not like everybody does. You know, everybody holds it out like way in
Yeah, you
front of
hold
the
it
camera.
closer to the camera, make it look bigger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was like, well, let's just hold it. She's like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm like, okay. Because she made me feel bad. She's like, well, just keep that one on and throw him back out there and fish for some more. I go, what are we fishing for, sharks? What, do you want me
It
to
was
catch
so
a whale?
awesome, like, use that as bait.
Shit, the thing was like a 9-pounder. She wants me to fish with it. I'm like, I'm not fishing for whales. No, it was tiny. It was like 5.5 inches long.
Oh, yeah, cut that thing up into little pieces and use that as bait. It'd be good.
So I was using power bait, which I'm not sure if it was even legal, because California has all these weird things about the, what if you can use a barbless hook, or if you use barbless hook, or you can or you can't, and then you know how that all goes, like
No, I have
single
no idea
hooks. So it's
rules
like
are.
some of them are like bar, like they got the little barb on them. It's like the hook, and then it's got a little back
Yeah,
hook
our
on it.
overseas listeners are like, we use spikes and we just stab
Yeah,
them.
spear them. Yeah. No. So like, and some of them you can only use a single hook. Other ones, it's like the three hook things.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rules are. I didn't even look. I just used what I had in my tackle box because I'm not sorry, Dennis. I'm not a professional fisherman.
Oof.
So, but I am using the pole he gave me like.
Comments on that.
I'm giving it the pole he gave me like 10 years ago. I'm still using it, so that's wicked awesome. Anyways, I fishing with like power bait, wasn't working. I fished with like these green rubber worms that I've used before that worked at a lake. That wasn't working. So I'm out there for an hour or something, kind of switching it up. But I had bought a thing of night crawlers from the marine
From
up
the
there.
marina, right?
So I'm like, I'm gonna try them, dude. I tie them off. I get my little bobber on there, put a little weight on there, weight out there again, sling that thing out there, dude. It hits the water. I'm like, all of a sudden, wham, wham! This thing's just getting hit, dude. First cast, they're hitting it, and I'm like,
dude, live bait. I think
I'm
live bait's
whipping
the
on
best.
it. So I zip it
never
in
had
there.
one.
I thought I had one. Half of it's gone. I'm like, gosh, dang it. I'm like, oh well, I'm still gonna use it. Wham! Throw it out there again. Whap! Snag another one. The second one. Oh, I got one. I'm all, and they're like, already you got one more. And then I pick it up out of the water. It's like 8 inches long and big around as my wiener. I was like, dude, yeah, look at this one. And they're like, dude. And then I was like, because you could just see them swimming around me too. I was getting one of those, what's those pedicures with the fish? The ones that people pay for?
Yeah, dude, I don't know what those fish are called.
But where they put their feet in the bats of it, and those fish just sit there.
Minnows? Aren't they just little minnows?
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. You go to the spa and it gets done.
I've never seen that. No,
You've never seen it, but you know what I'm talking about.
I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what was happening to me.
I don't want to put my feet in the fish poop water. I just really don't.
Oh, well, too bad. So I was, dude, and it was glorious. Tasha's like, what? And I'm like, it's like that little spa treatment thing you get with them little fish. She's like, they're just getting your feet. And I was like, yeah, because I was just standing still.
They love toe
And so
jam.
then they would come up and beep, 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 just hitting my feet, dude. And I'm just like, yep, people pay for this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was out there for hours, bro. My feet are so soft right now. It's amazing. So I highly recommend it. Go pay somebody. Put your feet in a bucket of fish or go catch them, whatever you want to do. And go pay somebody. And, dude, put your feet in there.
Just
And
did that this weekend. And then last weekend we recorded on the day before the 4th of July. So we didn't talk about what you did on the 4th of July.
Nothing.
Like, you didn't do anything?
Worked out. Did some miserable workout.
No.
I didn't even make it up for the fireworks, bro.
Oh. See, we can watch fireworks from our yard. Like, they shoot them right off the mountain. We just sat in the yard, and then we watched fireworks there. We had a few people over, and then the neighbor decided he was going to shoot off a cannon, and the first cannon went off, tipped over the firework, and then it shot into our yard while we were kind of picking up our chairs, and it blew up. And she's 14. It bounced off of her shirt and then burned down the side of her arm. Like, it just exploded. And then Parker hit him in the back, burned a hole in his shirt, and gave him a good little welt on his back. And there was a little 2-year-old here at the house, and I grabbed him and just ran in the house. And he freaked out that his mom and dad weren't in the house, but I was like, dude, you can't go out there. We got to wait. Like,
sorry, they're gone, dude. They died. The fireworks got him.
He was good the whole day. Like, he didn't care about the explosions. Like, noise didn't bother him, any of that kind of stuff. But I grabbed him, and we all, a few of us ran in the house to get out of the way, and his mom and dad weren't there. So that's what freaked him out the most, was he was just like, I don't know these people. So
I thought he was going to have to live with you.
Yeah, firework danger, dude. Like, yeah. I mean,
That's
we've
like
had
all
this
them
issue
shows
with
you
mom
look
and dad.
at. Oh, yeah. Dude,
Now we
fireworks
put
are
cigarettes
dangerous,
around
bro. I don't know how people just don't know. It's no doubt they are sketch, dude. They're
When you get something
dangerous.
that big, like, you need to brace it, because when they explode like that, and those bases just aren't big enough. So It just tipped
yeah.
over and shot right into the yard. And the neighbor guy, he ran out there and grabbed it. He didn't know which way it was facing. It was dark in the street. He grabbed that thing, and it went off again while he was holding it. And it kind of singed and burned his arm a little bit, but it didn't, like, leave a mark. But Taylor's got this, like, trail from her bicep all the way down to her wrist. It's just like...
It's like scabbed up?
Yeah, it's scabbed up.
Burn that, what they call it, the dermal layer, first-degree burn or whatever.
Yeah, so our
that's like what you see on them commercials. No, I was in bed, dude, and I heard him going off, and so I went in there. I woke Alexa up. Oh, yeah, I woke Alexa up, and I was like, I mean, I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping, but I was like, I went in and woke her up. She was already asleep, and I go, hey, cute, you want to watch fireworks? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, because they're going, so we can go watch them. She's all, no. So I don't know if she thought I said something else or what. And I was like, so you don't want to go watch fireworks? She's all, no. I love you, Dad. Gives me a big old hug and rolls over and just goes back to sleep. I was like, all right, cool. Me too.
Like fireworks off midnight? Jeez.
9:30. They don't even start till 9:30.
That's about when they started here.
Yeah, so I just went back and started watching Witcher.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome.
The last episode, the new episodes, or new season's out, right?
Yeah, I just started. I'm only like 2 into it, but all right. I got a so first and foremost, dude, we got some hits on some we got some emails. First we got some comments on YouTube. So thank you guys for hitting us up with that one. I don't know. Well, recently, because there's some of them are in on that one. So, did I tell you that somebody hit us up because we were talking about Amazing Grace? Amazing Grace.
Amazing Grace?
How sweet thou art. No, Amazing Grace. Grace. Race.
Amazing Race.
Let me help you out with that. It's Amazing Race. So, they were like, Amazing Race? Yes. So she's in full support of us being on Amazing Race. She thinks it'll be awesome.
Dude, I think so too.
So then I was talking about the cottage school here in town, here in Fallon. And the one that had commented about the Amazing Race and was like super pumped. So she was, she uploaded like a picture of what she was doing. So they must have been on some road trip somewhere. And she wrote like road trip. And then it was like on their heads up dash screen thing, one of those big ones. It had our flapping your gums, so they were road tripping and
nice,
flapping your gums or watching it. Because then she started commenting on YouTube. Hopefully, while she's not driving, I'm sure she was passengering, not driving.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So she says, and then when we were talking about the, and so she knows who it is. So shout out, girl. She says she'd rather see pictures with people than just like pictures of landscape. So I get it because she says on social media. So I understand that part. So that does kind of make sense as I thought about it. On social media, like the landscaping. So we were talking about selfies, and I'm like, why do people always have to take a picture? Like, oh, look, I'm at the beach, but they have to take a selfie with them in it.
Oh,
and the beach.
Face right in the middle.
So she's saying with it being on social media, she likes to see the people. So that makes sense, I guess, because it is social media. So it's like, oh, I want to see that you are there or you in it. You know? Okay, cool. I'll buy that.
Right. I was watching some of the TikToks that I made for our flapping your gums. You know, just like this morning, I was like, oh, let me check and see what these, you know, like how the ads look. I kind of do more for ads just to kind of let people know we put out a new episode. And I was like, I was looking at the Jamaica one that I did for you, and I'm like, you know, for them, you know, for somebody else looking at it, they're like, okay, you could have pulled this picture from anything. Like, I got them from you. Like, I know they're legit. I know they're legit pictures that you took while you were there. But somebody else looking at it's kind of like, oh, yeah, was he really there? Or is this just some picture that you pulled off of some other website? So I
guess if you're worried about that, because, like, I could care less. Like, if you don't believe that
I'm not saying worried about it.
No, but I'm not saying that. But I could see where people are like, because you could totally fake it and be like, oh, man, you're sitting at home.
I was in Paris.
Yeah, you're sitting at home watching NASCAR, eating pizza rolls, just fat as shit. And you're like, oh, look at me in Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Yeah.
that's that. We got that. I understand that one. And then we had somebody, dude. So one of the girls hit up on there. So they must have been listening to or watching previous episodes, because she says you'll get a whole nother audience with that belly button conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
So some weird. I hope so. Let's get them on, hundreds of them, just perving out while your finger popping your belly button. Oh, I'm sure there's fetish, some sort of fetish.
The other fetish.
You mean on that?
No.
All right, so hold on. I'm still going. I still got. Dude, we're going through comments. Relax. So the next one was.
I'm gonna forget.
So it was off your bit, off your CrossFit bit.
Okay.
The one where you're talking about all this stuff. So she said, started shopping for more CrossFit gear during Vinny's little bit. Well, felt like she didn't have enough stuff. Oh, gosh, I need all this new stuff. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then we did get an email. So thanks, shout out to you guys for commenting.
Do we have an email comment? Can we
I got it. I'm just shouting out for the emails or the comments on
comments. 100%.
The comments on YouTube. That was all YouTube, so thanks for the comments on that, you guys. That's rad. So this is like we kind of can open up an episode like with this. Like I like reading through these and stuff and letting you kind of, get through them with me. So, okay.
Email.
Yeah.
We're on email.
We had another comment that said that they get up every night to whiz, too. Remember we were talking about peeing, like if it was okay to pee?
Yes.
So
the older you get, the more you're going to go.
Yeah, there's one guy comments. One guy comments like, bro, I get up every night to whiz. So, I don't know, yeah. I was like, oh, well, okay, fair enough. But I feel like I'm starting to get to that point, too. Unless I'm really in a deep sleep, I wake up at some point at night. I don't know what time it is because I always tell myself not to look at the clock because I don't want to know.
Right.
Because I could have been asleep for 30 minutes and I had to get up and pee and I would suck. I'd be like, what the? Or I'm waking up like 12 minutes before my alarm goes off. I don't want to know because I'm going to crawl back into bed and sleep for 10. Like I'm staying out of it. So, all right. So on to the email. So this is from a guest or a listener, and this is to you. It's one of my questions. Okay?
All right.
So you know how we do like these little questions? So that's one of them. I have two of them for you. Okay. No, I have three of them actually because I did do three this year. But I had two. On this email? I had two. I'm not going to mention names on it. I had two.
Oh, okay.
It's coming anonymous. So I have two questions for you. So you want me to go my two questions and then give you the emailers, or you want me to give you the emailers now?
Just mix it up. Don't tell me which one's theirs.
Okay.
We'll just do it.
Okay.
Yours.
So then, right. Okay. We'll go like this then. Okay. So the first one, what things you would take if you had to survive in the wild? I don't know. Like, there's not a number.
How many options do I get?
There's not a number. So let's throw out a number. Like, you want 10? 10 objects? 15?
Okay.
I don't know. Start naming them, and then we'll see how many you get to before you run out of shit. You have to carry it.
Right? You'd have to have a hatchet or axe. I mean, you're obviously going to put it in your backpack. You'd want some type of net, because I've watched that Alone, Brother Kevin got us kind of stuck on that Alone show for a little while. Like, you got to have, like, at least a warm coat. You got to have an axe, knife, maybe string, some type of net so you can set up some type of fishing situation. Maybe a tarp, flint and steel. You'd want to have some flint and steel.
On fire.
A flashlight, pistol, some type of rain gear. I don't know. I mean, that's kind
10.
of where I'm at, but is that about 10?
That's 10 exactly. I was counting them. I mean that seems pretty legit. I mean, you could survive just about on anything with that stuff, I feel like. I think the other thing I would add into it maybe like a water purifier. Or at least like tablets. Yeah. They got those tablets you can drop in the water.
Yeah, but as long as you can boil your water, you're good, right?
I think so, yeah. Well, what if it's
Yeah.
piss rain and you can't get a fire going?
That's what you got the tarp for.
Well, you're going to have to go for days
I mean,
without,
you
let your wood dry out.
I mean, rain is good. You can drink rainwater.
True. Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
So I don't know. I
good.
think, as long as you had some type of way to do fire,
I
try
think
to
that's
stay
it.
warm,
Yeah,
dry.
cutting stuff up, catching, snaring, fishing, setting traps, or I don't even know if I'd say a pistol. I'd say give me a long rifle.
Well, yeah. I mean,
But
for
if
sure.
they're making it small that
I'd
can only
wanna
fit in your backpack, then I would say a
Right.
pistol for sure. Because on a loan or whatever, they can't have firearms, right?
No, they don't do
Yeah, and
firearms
ours
at all.
ain't that
no.
way.
And
Ours
I
is
think they're
America.
only I don't even know if they get 10 items.
Oh, well, the hatchet's
that's
a
a
good
show.
call.
I like
Super
watching that
sharp
show.
one.
I don't think I could
Okay.
do that show.
It'd be a rough go, bro. It'd be
Dude.
rough. And is that the one they got to set up their own cameras, or is that they got somebody there?
Yeah. No. They set up their
They
own
set up their own
cameras.
camera,
They have that satellite phone, and they call.
Yeah,
like,
I would hope mine would be on pure survival. You know what I mean?
I'm ready for Amazing Race rather than Alone.
Just do
I'll
that.
do that
That's
one.
all right. We'll stay with that. Okay. The other one, let's see. I got, gym dance-offs.
Sorry, you kind of like. What?
Gym dance-offs. Like, do you have, so at your gym, do like when a song comes on and stuff, do people just start dancing?
No.
No. Like when a banger comes on, they're not
Nope.
just like,
I do.
and they're not
I
just
do. But
slamming
nobody
heads.
else does.
Okay, so it is you do. So you do it.
I'll do it.
Oh,
I'll sing along with it, or I'll kind of
and we do some karaoke too.
do
Okay.
some karaoke. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll karaoke.
I bet you
with
do.
It.
You're a kid. Yeah, you love that karaoke, man. I swear you must be part Filipino.
I'll do a little karaoke with it and kind of dance. Like I'll stop right in the middle of the workout, like while everybody else is working out, and I'll kind of throw my arms up and do a little booty shake, and then go back to working out. So
Okay, cool. But we do that because our gym now has that too. Not noticeably. It didn't really ever notice it until like it came up. Like somebody was like, "Hey, this is one of the questions," and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna put that in the podcast." Because like we'll have like all of a sudden like a certain song will come on or like a banger like when we're listening even like I call it dubstep but now they call it something else, that electric music like dubstep but it's something else, EDU or something.
okay,
Does that sound right? I don't know, whatever.
I have no idea.
Dude, on the way anyways, off track, but I put it on like this #1 hits thing on Sirius Radio coming back from camping, and I was like, oh, cool. There wasn't a single song I thought was good and that I liked. I'm too old,
Or that you
dude,
knew.
I guess.
You probably had no idea
one
what they
song.
were.
I knew one song. The rest of them, I'm like, these are dumb songs. Like, how do
Yeah,
these make
no.
the top 10? Or the
You have to
greatest
listen
hits?
to classics now.
Shit,
You're so
it
old.
is, too. Yeah, for sure. Because the songs I was listening to were dumber than hell. Okay. So dance off. So, yeah, we have them, too. I just wanted to see what you had.
How many guys at your gym? Like, how many guys are in your class usually at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:30 or whatever?
Like how many dudes? Like swinging
Like,
wieners?
you got like what? You got like 12 guys in there?
No,
7?
at 3 o'clock there's Daryl, Sweeney, John, Dennis.
Close enough. You don't have to be
5,
exact.
6, probably 6 of us.
So if
7
the song
of us
comes on
sometimes.
around that, do all 6 of you like pause and do a little
No,
shake thing?
it's just the females that usually do it. There's a couple of them, and they're the younger ones. And there's some like I'll do some like when it comes on like a hitter, and I'll start swinging my
You do
hair
a little
into
head
it.
bang.
Yeah,
Do a
I'll
little
get my
head
hair
bang with
get my
your
hair
long hair.
swinging into it when it's a hard hitter. But yeah, no, that's about it. There's one guy he'll sing a little bit, but nothing like karaoke style. But he'll
In my
bust out.
class, I'm the only one.
Yeah. Well, at least you're doing it. I like it. All right. One more, and this is due. I think it's more directed. So it's called. Dude, have you ever heard of soaking?
Soaking insider?
Dude, yes, dude. Because I'm asking because you're like, I mean, you're not Mormon now, but you were in it the longest, and so it's called soaking.
No, never heard of it.
It's a Mormon
it's a religious thing? Really? Is it like, yeah? Is that like, the, what did you call the Chevy? What did you call your truck? The finger banging
Mormon
mobile?
finger banging wagon.
Those kind of thing?
I didn't. Tasha called
what
it
we're
that.
rolling down? Tasha did call it that. You were trying to drive it, and you asked her if we got it running.
That's true. I was parking it. I was like, "Hey, you want to ride?" She's like, "I am not getting that Mormon finger banging wagon." No, man, I died, dude.
Is that?
You were
is that where
standing
we're
there.
going?
Good thing Dad wasn't
I was there.
I know. Good thing
Dad
Dad
was
couldn't
right
hear
there.
it. Yeah, but he couldn't hear it.
He didn't understand it.
No, he didn't know what that was. Never
Is that what
done it.
soaking is?
Sorry, Mom. No.
Yeah.
Dude, so I had to get the explanation for this, but I just didn't know if maybe you knew. And so it's like,
as we're talking about it, I'm kind of thinking what soaking is, but no.
Yeah, so it's like, I guess.
Farther than dry humping?
Yeah, in a sense. So it's like,
Levi loving? Little Levi loving?
but there's penetration.
I get you. And
So
just stick.
you just stick it in there and don't do anything, and your friend bounces the bed for you.
No.
Dude, that's what
What?
I don't know, bro. That
Oh
was the email, and so I had to get confirmation of what.
Did they go to BYU? I don't understand this
Yeah,
situation.
so I guess so. Comment in. There's probably I know
Soaking.
there's some Mormons that are listening to this called soaking.
There could be other religions that kind of do that too, but probably
I don't
not.
know. I think it was made up. Maybe that was the origin of it. I think it's originally done back in that, But yeah, so it's because then you're not, like, you're just laying there and your friend's making the motions.
It doesn't matter. You still went in. That's
Dude,
one.
Remember they used to save their virginity, they would go anal. So I feel like
gosh.
What's up with that? That's hey, I'm just the middleman. Like,
I mean, I didn't know.
I got the question. So Vinny didn't know.
Idea.
So,
but as we started talking about stuff, I started thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, it's got to be just kind of like when I said soak. Like when we used to get hurt at work, the guys would be like, "Oh, you got to go home soaking in cider."
Yeah.
Then I'm like, why would I go home? Like I'm thinking apple cider.
Cider,
but
yeah.
If you
so
slow
now
it
you know
down,
soaking. I don't know.
soaking. Okay.
So for the
Wow.
overseas,
Thanks for that question. That was.
Woo! I mean, So there we go. All right.
Speaking of your Mormon situation, like you were asking me this week if we were going to do some history on our states.
No, we
You
do
asked
need
me-
to. Yeah. So that's this. So we're gonna. I kind of want to see how this goes. I'm gonna start We're gonna have us a little segment in here. This is like a history thing. So some of it can. I mean, if you can try to find funny stuff, that's cool too. And if you don't or whatever, because for the reason why is I brought this up.
I tried.
So this is the reason. The reason I brought this up. This doesn't have to do
Right.
with 100% is not Nevada, because this has to do with the ocean. But the reason is I was reading about this, and it's off the cuff. It's like this book. There's a book called The Wager, and it's like about ships and like treasure hunting type stuff. But it's like real life stuff, right? So this dude. So back in the 1700s. This is how it got started, so I'm just going to give you a quick one of it. In the 1700s,
You're not
like
quick in anything, but it's
the
okay.
barrel of the sea. I know. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, or we'd have a 6-minute podcast. Yeah, ask Tasha. She's happy about that too. So, anyways,
what?
about not being quick. Sorry, guys. So burials, right? They do like sea burials because he talks about these ships. Like this ship, the Wager was like built. It's a big one, but it took like 4,000 oak trees to make this ship. Like it's back in the day. So I thought it was funny because the burial, this 1700s, when they would do a burial, they'd bury them at sea. They don't have like modern day medicine or anything like that. So when these guys would get sick or whatever, they thought they were dead. So they would just wrap them up in their hammock. And they sew their hammock shut, right? And then they just pitch them to sea. Well, while they're sewing this hammock, when they would get up to the face like a cocoon, they would sew it through their nose. That was the only time that they hit a body part. So they would shove the needle through their nose just to make sure you were dead.
Oh.
Because they
Okay.
didn't have modern, like they didn't know check the pulse. They didn't know like that you were in like comatose state or whatever. So they'd be sewing you up, get you all stitched up, haul you to the thing, and toss you overboard. You hit the water, and all of a sudden it's a shock, and you're like, "Oh man, it's freezing cold." Well, it's hooked to a cannonball, and you're sinking at the bottom of the ocean, but you were alive when they threw you in. Dude, I was like, "Oh, that is nuts."
Wow.
So they would stitch that hammock up and run that needle through your nose, and if you woke up, they'd keep you around. But if you didn't, then of course you were probably dead. So
Okay.
yeah, there you go. So that's a little piece of knowledge for you to know.
Jeez.
That's a brutal life, bro.
We've really progressed since then.
The advancements are huge. Yeah.
All right, what do you got on Nevada? Is that what what you got for your history?
So I got two of them on Nevada, which is pretty cool. First one, Nevada's history. Nevada was the first state to ratify the 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which gave African American men the right to vote. That was on March 1st, 1869.
Oh,
I thought that was pretty rad. So
nice.
yeah, so I was just kind of reading through. So that was like, I was trying to find something cool like that part of it, but I think as we go into and kind of get more into more, I mean, that's super cool, of course. Like, I don't really have anything to elaborate on the story of it. I just thought that was cool that we were the first state to do that. And so I just wanted to mention that one part of it. But now I do have the one that I said is like borders the two, and this is the history of Claude Dallas. You ever heard of that guy?
No.
Like a folk legend kind of thing.
Okay.
So this dude ends up killing. So a lot of people like hunters and those and like, the Wild West kind of people. This was back in like, I can't remember the year it was done. I feel bad for that part. Anyways, I read about it too and was trying to keep up on it of when it all actually happened and went down. So it had to be in like in the 80s, 70s, late 70s, early 80s, I want to say, right around there.
So that's pretty recent, but okay.
Oh yeah, it's recent for sure. He's still alive, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So this dude, he ends up. The story of it is he's up in the mountains and he's on the Idaho. This is where it's a little bit of a mix because it's on the Idaho-Nevada border.
Yeah, I think we're going to run out of things for our own specific states. We might have to spread it out to the country.
Well, that's all right.
later.
Yeah, we can. And we can just do random history, whatever. But this guy is, so this is back, like, it's kind of, he's up in the mountains and he's a trapper and he's a hunter and all that stuff. And
Right.
so these rangers, the fish and wildlife game officers, whatever they are, they come up to his tent and come in to his tent because he's up there camped up there. He kind of lives like a nomad, like off on his own. They come in and there's like pelts and meat hanging and stuff like that, but it's out of season.
Right. So it's like real mountain man stuff, right?
It's a mountain man stuff, yeah. So the rangers try to start harassing him, and he's telling them, "I got these in Nevada." Like, so they have nothing. You're out of your jurisdiction. You know what I mean? Like, I brought these in,
Right.
blah, blah.
Right.
He's up there surviving. Like, he's not bothering anybody or doing anything. So
It's like Rambo.
correct. He's Rambo.
Yeah.
Say he's Claude Dallas. So anyways, they have a confrontation, and this one ranger, he's like, he's kind of a Bill Pogue, Pogue is his name. He's one of the deputies or whatever, ranger, but he's a hothead. So he goes to whip his pistol out. Well, Claude is carrying concealed and is faster, pulls his 357 out and shoots the dude. Right? There's two of them.
Yeah.
So the other dude tries to get away. Like, and the whole part of it is they don't know if he's running away or he's drawing and trying to get cover or whatever it is. So he shoots that dude dead. Like,
Okay.
you got to make sure. You know what I mean? Like, you killed the one, so the other's probably going to do something. So he shoots them both. So then they take him to court and they try to get him for murder. And so he goes through this whole regimen of like with trying to prove himself that
So
it
he went to
wasn't like,
trial?
it wasn't murder.
He went
Like
to
it
court
was
and everything?
self-defense. Yep. Trial. Yep. So he was charged 2 counts of first degree. They tried to get him with 2 counts of first degree murder, but he doesn't. He gets the reputation of that Bill, the Pogue guy, with being a hothead and had multiple problems before. Anyways, the jury gets it to manslaughter, but he still has to manslaughter, not murder. Yeah. So it took 15 months before he went to trial the first time, and then and that was in they had to. So he was gone. He eluded them for 15 months. So they got him for manslaughter, but to get him to come to trial, they got him to get him to go to trial for manslaughter, they took him 15 months to find him. You know, like if you were to skip bail or whatever. So he's like, well, you're
rich right now.
You're like, you ain't got nothing for me, so I'm out. So he skipped. So it takes 15 months. They finally get him to court. This is in 1982, right?
Okay.
And that's the first trial. And then, so they sentenced him to like 30 years in prison.
Boof.
He serves 3 years and he busts out.
He busts out.
Yeah. But
where was he in prison at?
He was in prison, I want to say.
In Idaho or Nevada?
So they skate. Oh, so then it's in Idaho. Oh, Idaho State Prison.
Okay.
So he was in Nevada when they caught him, Winnemucca, which is right up the road from here.
Oh yeah, you coyote hunted up there.
Yeah. So he was mountaining it up there, and they finally caught him after over a year. Haul him back down, goes to trial. He's got to go to prison. He goes 3 years, and he gets out. So the prison actually faked that he cut the fence to get out because he was smarter than they thought. So he ended up, what had really happened when they investigated it is he did whatever he had to do and then got through these layers and was able to get out and got out with a group of people that were leaving the jail that were there, like the visitors.
Oh.
So he like switched out, changed clothes, had it all stashed or whatever. And when they were all exiting, he snuck right out. Boom. And then they felt dumb. So they went and cut the fence. We're like, oh, he cut himself out. Like perfectly cut triangles in the fence and all this stuff. So he gets out and he goes on the lam and he ends up, they end up putting him on FBI's most wanted list. And so he's out doing the same thing. And he starts this huge following of, like, if you talk to anybody around and they know who Claude Dallas is. And he's got, like, so he has this huge, like, this foundation that started that they think that he doesn't talk about it. Never had an interview because they did eventually catch him again. And then he served 22 years of his sentence. And they let him out. And so, but he has like this, he didn't do any interviews, right? So like everything that was like talked about and the story that was elaborated and how this all happened is just from like what he told people when he was out and like let that story grow. So they like grew into this like
snowballed into
and it was like this big old legend. Yeah. Folk legend. And then there's a place that's called, Jack Wayne Chapel is the chairman of it's like Fraternity Arts West Company and the website, and they raise money to help keep the Claude Dallas story alive. And so they think, is it a coincidence or is it that that Claude Dallas, Jack Chapel as an alias when he was on the run? So he used the name Jack Chapel as an alias when he was on the lam. And now he has this website set up that it's like for fundraising because there's like books out on him now and stuff like that. And
of course,
in Nevada, because he came back into Nevada and like, you know, when he got away and did all that stuff.
Well, that's the same thing as what do they call those? Are they called ghostwriters? You know, like if you were to write a book, but you use a pen name. So basically, he's using a pen name to make his story, great.
Yeah.
Like he's writing an unassumed name. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't have any kind of history like that. I mean, I could. I didn't get into it that much with Butch Cassidy here in Utah. I do know he was from Beaver. Butch Cassidy was from Beaver, Utah.
Really? Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid?
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I didn't get into it. I didn't go down that road because most of the stuff that I was trying to find for history was very very religious. They did have I want to say the 1958 Utah Wars was because the territory in Utah used to cover from California all the way to Colorado. And so the Mormons had their own militia, and they went clear up into like Idaho and Wyoming and down into New Mexico. Like it was a big territory that they had. So basically what the militia did when they came in 1847, everything kind of went through their territory. Mm-hmm. So communications, back then it was mail and trains, stuff like that. So they were able to stop a lot of, and that was when the Civil War was going on back east. You had the North and the South. So they could, and the government didn't know which way Utah was going to go. They didn't know if they were going to go for the North or if they were going to go for the South. So a lot of stuff came through their territory, which the government was afraid because they didn't know which way the Mormons were going to favor, whether the North or the South. So they were kind of like, okay, so they had to negotiate a lot of stuff. It never got violent, but during that war, it was more of they would get trains and communications, and so they sabotaged a lot of that stuff. But then they came up with a compromise type deal. So like Mexico was clear up into our, I guess, into the Utah, what is now the state of Utah. Like Mexico used to come up that high. So there was a lot of stuff with borders and, kind of treaties, stuff like that, which ended up cutting off a lot more property, I guess you would call it, which kind of started setting up the borders of Utah. And Wyoming got a little corner, which caused the Utah to have the L shape up there. And I think that was so the state, that was so the government could still run. They had control over the railroads, kind of going through the top part of there. But it was proposed to the state, the government at the time, that they wanted to be called the State of Deseret, and the government was like, nope. They were just like flat out said no, because it showed up on maps clear back in like 1720. It was called Utah, but it was like Y-U-T-T-A, which was another way to say Ute, which was a Native American that were here. So they kind of got with the Ute. So they wanted to kind of keep it with the Y-A-T-T-A, and then it switched over to U-T-H-A for Utah, which it incorporated the Native American name and stuff like that. But I was trying to look up a little bit more fun history. Like, I didn't know where we wanted to go with this. Utah is the only state that has a cooking pot and a Dutch oven as one of its state symbols. Like, I was looking up some of that stuff. Like, I don't see it on the flag, and the flag has two different dates. 1847, that's when the Mormons kind of started the territory, and then 69. I don't have that on my thing, but I could be wrong. That's when they became the 45th state in the United States. They were one of the last states to be a state, or join the union is what it says here. It also, so it has the Rocky Mountain elk as the state animal, which I thought it was a seagull, but I think the elk is one of, like the seagull is also on the flag, because back then,
well,
they
that's
called them
because that's your state bird.
The state bird is the seagull.
Seagull.
Which is not. I mean, we have seagulls, but you always think of seagulls as like being in the ocean.
Shitbirds. Yeah.
Right. But the problem was we had crickets, and they call them the Mormon crickets. You and I have grown up with the Mormon crickets.
Yeah, I just ran over a bunch of them when we were heading camping.
Yeah. So they get the Mormon crickets, and then so what happened was, like, the Mormon crickets came in and they were infesting the state, and then a whole bunch of seagulls came in and started eating them, and kind of eradicating the Mormon crickets, which made the state like, okay, we love the seagull because they're the ones that kind of saved our crops. So
yeah,
but
they do that on the beach with Cheetos.
Yeah, yeah, Alka-Seltzer works really good too. Yeah. Don't throw seagulls
Alka-Seltzer. That's how you eradicate seagulls, is give them Alka-Seltzer.
Because they cannot pass gas. They will explode.
No, they just blow up.
So there's also, we have a state, Rocky Mountain elk is the state animal of Utah, while the state firearm, like we have an actual state firearm, is the Browning M1911. Due to the inventor's ties. So the guy that invented the M1911 was from Utah, which I thought was,
You have an M1, don't you?
I used to have an M1.
A carbine. Yeah, M1 carbine?
M1 carbine. Yeah, that's with the X. So that's gone.
Okay.
Which, it was a nice gun, though.
That's cool.
The thing is, I found out there's a lot of stuff invented in Utah. So, I do remember this from when we were just barely out of high school. The guy that invented the Frisbee lives in Central. He lives over on Washburnville Road. Sean would know where the Washburnville Road is, but he invented the Frisbee. He didn't get a lot of... he didn't have a good contract, so he didn't make a whole lot. He lives in a double wide up on the mountain. So
chase your dreams, guys. Chase your dreams.
Is from Utah, which he's like right here, actually pretty close to where I live now. It is also, if a person is hit in Provo, Utah, with a stick, rock, snowball, or any other object, you can technically be arrested.
Huh.
So, if you're out having a snowball fight, you can get arrested for...
Throw a charge down. I think, what also, Utah is, I believe, one of the last states to, if you steal cattle, like cattle rustling, if you steal livestock, I believe it's livestock. I'm not sure. The one is they still
on that one.
The law is still there for hanging. You can still be hung for rustling cattle and stuff. I don't know if it goes with horses and cattle or just like rustling not your livestock or whatever. Basically caught stealing other livestock. You can still be the capital punishment of hanging.
And in 2015, they also did the firing squad. They reissued the firing squad for death row inmates.
Okay.
And I think I want to say there's like 3 states that still do the firing squad. Utah's one of those.
When's the last time they've had one then? 2015?
I don't know. I should have looked. Yeah.
That's brutal.
There's also, listen to this one.
I feel bad for the ones that have to do the shooting.
I mean, do you?
Go. Well, you
play Call of Duty.
Yeah, but that's different, bro. I mean,
I don't know, man.
But that's why they have. You know why they have a firing squad, right?
Right. So you don't know which one actually has the live bullet that actually kills the guy.
That is correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's prohibited to drive on sidewalks. You can't drive on. But I
these aren't history, bro. These are just laws.
I know, but like some of the other stuff, like the history was kind of boring.
That's all right.
Utah.
We find some other ones, or like you said, we may have to
look
just
up some Butch Cassidy stuff. So it's actually
well, like the
against
Butch
the law.
Cassidy stuff. I know there's another cool one. I read a book years ago. I know it has to do with like the Mormon stuff, but he wasn't. Norman Rockwell was a bodyguard.
Yes.
Or something. He's got some pretty cool stories. But there's other.
Norman
I mean,
Rockwell.
the biggest thing you'll run into, I think, with Utah is that it's all Mormon. There's a lot of Mormon history there for sure.
Well, do you want to know what I found out?
Yes.
That Roseanne Barr is from Utah.
Lord. I bet she is.
I mean, it was like famous people that are from Utah. It's also against the law on hunting elephants in Utah.
Oh, good.
Like they have a law that actually says you cannot hunt elephants. Not that we ever have any elephants. I don't even know why that's a law.
All right. Well, that's
Like,
not
it's
history. So you're beating off the path here.
Okay. So we have
So we'll
the
look up history next.
largest. So the Brigham Canyon has been officially dubbed the deepest pit in the world. It has gold. I don't even know how to say this other word. Silver mine. It was first opened in 1903, and it still runs efficiently to this day. It's also the deepest open mine pit in the world.
In the
So we
world,
do
huh?
have, yeah.
That's pretty rad.
So yeah.
All right.
mean,
Well,
I
that's our
understand.
history part, and also modern
you gotta
facts
think, though, like,
about Utah.
The elephant law.
That's definitely
that's history.
setback.
It's gotta
But
be
you have to
like
look
setback.
at the history of when. I'm pretty sure there's still the hanging thing. The shooting thing's pretty cool. Anyways, but yeah, that's what we'll kind of start. It's tough. Like when I was looking through mine, I was like, dude, some of it's like, oh, that's cool, but like not entertaining kind of thing. So we'll kind of work on it and see if it pans out. We'll keep doing it, and it may not. We could also maybe not do. We don't have to necessarily do our own state. Like that one, when I looked at Claude Dallas, I'm like, oh man, it's out of Idaho. But I knew he had been to Winnemucca and stayed in Winnemucca, and he was like living back and
That's the
forth.
same thing with
He was like,
Cassidy.
he was
Cassidy
working both
wasn't always in
sides.
Utah.
Right,
Yeah,
he
Butch
was
Cassidy
working
was
both
kinda all over.
sides, and I think that's why he kind of he was in Idaho when those guys got him. But yeah, that's cool. And then man, I had something else too that was on the emails. I forgot now. Oh, real quick. So, well, that was another part of it.
I saw the light bulb
Dude, it
flash.
did too. I knew I had it too. So we had talked about the interviewing, and with having you have the mixer and stuff. So we had a comment that, dude, if we're gonna, with this gentleman that you and I were talking about, we were talking about interviewing people, and then you had talked about meeting this guy over the weekend. That's somebody who's semi-famous, has Super Bowl rings and all that stuff. So you met him, but the comment was made, when you have somebody come in for your interview, like they're coming into, it says these comments. So what's the interview? You're going to come into Vinny's cum closet? Like, dude. Oh, I about died, bro. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I got thinking about it, dude, because we've had comments about the jizz shower curtain covered in jizz. So now somebody's going to have to come in and sit in your cum closet. That's not me. That's the comment made.
So we are able to send an email, just like when Sean hooks up. He starts the podcast. He sends me an email, and we hook up through it's through Riverside, which is similar to like
you're talking about
like
doing it via remotely.
So we would do it remote.
Well, we were talking about the mixer, and so I think that's why he was saying what. So we could have interviewers.
I do have a friend. Yeah, I do have a friend that I think would like the people that I know and the people that Sean knows. In our situation that we're in with our, Sean's got a bigger.
They're not going to really care about Vinny's cum closet.
They're not going to be judged. and you guys out there on the emails, you're a bunch of junky bastards. So.
Judgy much?
Judgy much, yeah.
Dude, I don't know. The cum closet just got me going. So yeah, the kind of people that Vinny's going to bring on to the interview that will be personal, like in the same cum-filled room, are okay with that.
They're okay with that.
They're okay with that.
Yeah, they might even make a comment on it, but like, yeah, dude, I gotta wear a hazmat suit when I come in here.
I gotta put on
The
some
gentleman
booties.
I did meet this weekend, he was 100% on board.
Oh yeah, okay.
He got me his email, and he lives in Kansas City.
So we'll bring that up later, not today, but
he was
we're gonna get
on
it
board.
set up. We're gonna get it set up so that we can release it out and let you guys know when we'll be able to do that. Right?
Yeah.
Because Vinny met with him, and he's a super cool dude. I can only imagine. We'll get with him. I can imagine the stories he's got, the life he lived, getting to where he's from Utah.
He is from
Correct?
Utah. He's actually from where I deliver UPS right now.
And so we'll do that. We'll do that via remotely because he won't be in town. So to the comment made that guy being a bigger celebrity is not going to go into Vinny's cum closet. Now the other guys that we bring in, they're totally cool with it, and it'll be fun. So
Sean's got a bigger studio, so he's in a little bit bigger area, so he can bring guys in.
But I need to get a mixer, so I'm the one without a mixer, so I can't do it. So, but I think I want to do. So let's plan here in the next couple weeks of bringing on. I think I know who your first one will be. Right?
I think we should
work with him
sooner than later. You want to bring the guy in I work with, or the guy that I just talked to?
I'm thinking the guy you work with. Is that who your first guest will be? Is that who you're talking about?
I think your first guest should be the guy I just talked to while it's fresh. And
you don't think we should do a pre-run first with somebody on with you?
That's true.
Run a 3, and then the following week do it with him.
That'll work.
2 weeks out is not that big of a deal.
No.
Or possibly 3.
So you want to try and do an episode next week?
We're doing it. Oh, yeah. So is it with little Kevin?
No. It'll be with another gentleman I work with.
Oh, is it the okay? So it's with with the guy that does taxidermy.
Yes, the taxidermy guy. Yeah.
So for those listening, we're gonna let's do for one next week. Let's be
do it next week.
the 15th, 16th.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so next week's episode, let's do.
Remote also.
That's all right. We can try it that way too. Because he probably is not comfortable with coming into your cum closet.
No, the cum closet is not like set up. Yeah, it's not set up for 2 people.
Well, it's gonna have to be. So maybe when you bring little Kevin in, he'll fit right in there.
We're gonna be like so close together. Yeah.
We're gonna have
protection
and get your booties on because you might be stepping in something weird.
Bring some magnums. It'll be all right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so so let's do. So we're gonna so the listeners, we're gonna look to try to do. We're gonna bring somebody on next week, and we'll just kind of chop it up with him on this. He's got a pretty interesting life stories. I think clientele that he deals with.
He would also like to do a podcast in the stories that he's start with us.
I mean, it ain't gonna be as cool as this one, but I get it. Everybody wants to start somewhere.
No, he's pretty excited. Yeah. He's pretty jealous that we started one, and he's just like, dude, I want to do one. I'm like, do it. Like, dude,
yeah. Well, we'll get him on here. We'll come up with some questions for him and stuff, and just kind of make him feel at home. But yeah, so everybody listening, let everybody know we're gonna be bringing this guy on. What's his name? Hunter?
No, his name is Braxton.
Oh, he's a hunter. Braxton. Oh, not the Braxton, not the one that you guys think of that you know here or that we've talked multiple times about.
Not your Braxton.
Yeah.
He's my Braxton.
Oh, yeah. Okay. My Braxton. I don't have ownership of him, but
it really sucks because I'll do Siri. I'll be like, hey, call Braxton, and it'll call
you.
Your
never know
Braxton.
which one you're getting.
Hey, what's up? And I'm like, I didn't mean to call you.
My bad.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to hang up now. What's weird? I'm sorry. All right. So, so next week, that's cool. We'll pump it up. We'll put it out there. We're going to try it out. It'll be remotely then, and so we'll do a test run on that. And so we'll have our first guest, and we'll do it from there. And we're kind of running out there before we bring on this other guy and hit him up, and then we'll have Vinny be in contact with them. So cool. All right. Well, it was good, man. I had fun. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Keep the comments coming in. Emails, commenting on YouTube. Super rad. I love going over them, looking at them, reading what you guys got to say. If you, whatever we're talking about, hit us up. Don't really correct us because we don't care. But other than that, hit us. No, I'm just kidding. It's just joking. Let us know what you think. If you've got any cool, history things or something that you know of that come up.
If you have any topic,
you can send us a link. Yeah, whatever it is. Or if you want us to find somebody to interview, or you want to interview, hit us up. Like, we'll drag you on here and lay down some questions. And we won't send you over to Vinny's cum closet, but we can do it remotely.
No, we'll hook you remotely.
And you can stay in your own cum closet for all I care. But yeah. Whatever you want to do.
I would love to interview some of our listeners overseas.
That'd be super cool. Send us the email, flappingyourgums@yahoo.com. From overseas, we'll send you the link. All you got to do is click on it on your computer or even your phone. It would be super cool. We'll just do a quick interview with you or whatever. Run it down that way. Whoever, just send it on there. We're down with dragging whoever on here, to an extent. But you can do it from your own home. Just throw some headphones in, and we'll do the rest from there. But it'd be super cool. All right, bro. I got to get back to it. You guys, everybody. Yeah, there you go. Have a great weekend, or I guess have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you guys for having our first interview on the next episode.
That would be awesome. Thanks, man.
Peace.